The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
This is freaking the Nameless Man. My name is King Prime. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Transformers Legacy United action figure, that being the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Lockdown. Now, this is not the Lockdown that we have come to know and some of us love. This is Star Raider Lockdown, so Space Pirate essentially. And I have a lot to say about this thing, but before I do that, let's take a look at what it comes in. Of course, on the front there we have the photo of Lockdown in his vehicle mode. Up at the front there we have the Transformers Legacy United trades, as well as the Hasbro logo and the Deluxe Class tag. Big red Transformers logo and the Generations and Takara Tomy trades up on the side there, as well as the Legacy United logo at the top. He is a Star Raider, and his name is Lockdown, that's right. On the side there's his name ends at returning. There's a mugshot of Lockdown looking interesting. And then there's the same photo just blown up. On the other side, we have the Legacy United mural with, Tidal Wave, Magmatron, Prime, and Bumblebee. Big old 40th anniversary logo there on the bottom. And on the back, we do have the, Transformers by the MCI, Star Raider Lockdown, 17 steps to convert with the photos of the figure in vehicle and robot mode. Down at the bottom there, we have the Transformers 40th anniversary logo, Hasbro logo again, and some legal jargon. And that is about it. I say in every single video, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging if you're a boxed or carded collector, which I'm not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze, and here is Lockdown out of the packaging. But before we take a look at him, and believe me, we'll take a look at him. Let's take a look at what he comes with. First off, he does come with these two halves of an engine block. They are, of course, meant to represent blasters. Of course, with this being a Scraphook remold, you're going to have all the stuff that she had. Scraphook's a girl, right? I don't remember. I don't care. But anyway, either of these two weapons can be held in Lockdown's hand. Of course, there's a little bit of red on the back there. But he can dual-wield engine block weapons. And then, of course, if you don't want him to do that because it looks stupid, you can just do what everyone else does and plop it. So it begins. And plop it right on the shins like that. Ow, it just pinched the fuck out of me. That's just where I keep them. I don't like having them anywhere else on this figure. There's the cutout right up top there for the barrel of that pistol, so just tuck that away in there. Forget about it. These stay in real good, so they're not going to come out anytime soon. Additionally, Lockdown does have these sort of like cannon things. I guess they can be guns. Truthfully, these are just the rear windows for the car mode, so automatically parts forming. This one is pretty much useless because it's just supposed to be like a cannon thing. Of course, with 5mm ports all over him, you can put it literally anywhere. I just choose to put it in the back here because I don't want to ever see this again. And then on the other side, we do have this other one, which is the exact same as before. This one just has gold around the barrel. And of course, the included hook for Lockdown right there, so you can have his iconic hand. Of course, you just want to turn it just like that, so you have the hook there. And I wish that there was a better way to lock this in. Unfortunately, the only way to actually get locked on his hook is just to put it in his hand like that, and that is it. That's all you do. There's no clever take off the arm or anything like that. I thought maybe at first you could pop out the hand from its mushroom peg and put this peg right into that hole on the side of his arm, and then have this bit slide right into that slot. But unfortunately, that bit is circular, and that is a square hole. So it will not work. It looks like it lines up. If you can see there, the holes do line up, but there's just no way for it to stay in there, and it doesn't sink in that much. So if you want Lockdown to have his hook, you have to just put it in his hand and forget about it, which, I mean, so stupid. It looks so bad. I'm not I'm not horribly biased. I'm not a lockdown stan or anything. But this sucks. And I was looking forward to this figure too. This is ass. I'll rid myself of that for now just so we can take a look at Lockdown himself. And he looks interesting, surely. That might be his face. I don't think so. I can see what they're trying to go with here. The silver on his face and then the big scowl with the spikes on his chin. It's very reminiscent of not the actual Transformers animated figure, but the 2009 Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown figure for Hunt for the Decepticons, I believe. That's kind of what this gives off. Actually, the paint apps on this thing are actually pretty good. As you can see, there is sort of the Star Raider pattern on his chest there. It almost looks like Scourge's mask from Transformers Rise of the Beasts, even though that's obviously not what it's supposed to be. But being a space pirate, you know, it's kind of like the skull and crossbones, just green on his chest. Going down, though, you do have green on his little thighs, as well as some silver, dark green, red, and silver on the cowl catcher right at the front of his grill. Will become the grill, at least in vehicle mode. Of course, I already talked about those two pistols that hide right there in his shins. He has some silver on the exhaust pipes that are separate pieces, again, the car, and that also pop off very easily. And then, of course, he does have a little bit of red on the cage on his windshield and windows. But other than that, you know, the basic Transformers greebly details that we're used to seeing on all these new figures, it's nothing new. I'm a little bit perplexed as to why they chose to put a Decepticon logo on them instead of the proper logo, but I don't, you know, I don't care. As for the head, I know that there's a DLC head coming out, like eBay from Chinese sellers. There's an alternative head you can get if you don't like this one, and I really don't like this one. But I really don't like this figure. I'll say it right now, so I'm not gonna get it. But moving on to the articulation, of course. Lockdown has only a peg at the head, so you can only get swivels, no ups or downs, unfortunately. He has a hinge at the shoulder, so you can get about that far out, which is not great. You can go all the way around, however. He does also have a swivel at the upper bicep, although because most of his shoulder is his bicep, it's technically just like an elbow swivel, but not really. As for his actual elbow, he does have a hinge there, so it can go about that far. You could also count this as a double hinged elbow because of the way the actual transformation works and having to fold this back, spoiler alert. So there is a hinge at the bicep, which is strange to say, and then another hinge at the elbow. So yeah, weird. Going down, though, however, you do have a swivel at the hands, so that's good at least. That's pretty much only for transformation, though, I can tell you that first and foremost. He does also have a waist swivel, which is very nice and unimpeded. He has a hinge and swivel hip, so it can go forward about that far and can go back all the way, and then I can go out all the way as well. So very good articulation there. If you are to pop his leg back on and fold his foot down, unfortunately, you're not going to get the full Van Damme, but you can get very close to it, which is, I guess, A+. No upper thighs, however, he does have a knee bend right there. It can go about 90 degrees before it starts sucking, and then it also has a knee swivel. Swivel used very loosely, because this is not a swivel, it's just a peg, because this thing uses the scraphook mold, and that thing, oh man, we'll talk about that thing. It does also have a hinge at the foot, actually a double hinge, one there, so you can get that far down, that far up, and then you can even get like a forward, pretty good articulation at the legs from the waist down. However, this thing is just all out of whack, truthfully. I have words. We'll get to the words after the transformation. But before we get to the transformation, let me bring in another figure or two to compare to Lockdown. Here is Lockdown next to our previous Transformers review, Studio Series 86 Steel Gel. Here he is next to the Batman. And here he is next to Transformers Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, just for scale. And this, I feel like this doesn't work. I feel like he should be taller. Maybe that's just because of my interpretation of the character, but it's definitely a little bit weird. Whatever, that's enough for the scaling. Let's move on to the transformation so I can show you exactly how Lockdown works. Freeze frame.
Lil Taper Fade, the meme is massive. I'm cooking, let him cook.
Freeze frame unfreeze. So to transform lockdown, it's a process. You're going to want to take bets, take it to Vegas about how many times the thing's going to fall apart, because it is. Now, that being said, let's get to it. God help me. With this being the scraphook mold, this figure is a weaponizer formerly, as I'm sure you've seen previously in the last few minutes of me rambling, but this thing falls apart like no one's business. But first thing I want to do, obviously collapse this 2-point hinge here, just to make sure that the feet are collapsed. They'll lock in eventually. Then you can put the legs together and pray that they stay put. That's step number 1. Step number 2, remove all the parts forming pieces, like this piece of the back window. The other one should also be on there, but I've of course kept that to the side for now. You can unfold the backpack and then come around to the top shoulders here and pull out the shoulders either way, and there's number 2. Plug that back in, or maybe I'll just leave it out, doesn't really matter. Fold down lockdown's head like that, so that the front windshield is flush with, what's supposed to be the front windshield. And then rotate the waist 180 degrees. Push lockdown's hips forward so that it's like he's sitting, and then eventually they'll meet up with the front of the vehicle. Plug them in like so, with either side of the door coming down to form the front of the vehicle. And then this is where it gets interesting. Fold forward the arms so that the chest can press flush against what was formerly just the crotch, the ass, I think, of the vehicle. You're going to want to make sure that lockdown's arms, the hinges, are facing vertically, so that when you fold the shoulder in like this, you can then rotate the shoulder out like that, and it will get into place along the proper vector. Getting this all tabbed in is going to be a challenge, however, because this thing does not like to stay in place, but that's a challenge we'll face in a moment. Continue that on the other side and see how good you can get it folded in. You're not going to be able to, it's fine. Rotate at the upper bicep 90 degrees so that each of the arms are just facing in, and then rotate the hands, the wrists, left 90 degrees so that the holes are facing upwards, like so. Then fold them in on that double hinged elbow, and then make sure that this tab right here is going into that hole on the bottom right here. Once it goes in, you can then try, and I do mean try, to plug in the other side. It's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm honestly extremely impressed that it hasn't come apart this far, but once you get that locked in, you pretty much have it. Just fold together all the panels on the doors, which is of course going to be impossible because of the way this thing's engineered. Finally, take the 2 parts forming pieces, put them together like so, and tab them right into these 2 holes on the back of the vehicle here to complete the look. And barring the pieces that like to pop out, there you have lockdown in his vehicle mode. This thing definitely looks like a lockdown. I think this mold was definitely intended to be lockdown. I think Scraphook was a pre-tool, as they say, and then lockdown was the intended recipient of this mold. It's just not the greatest execution in figure form. I'm shocked that it didn't fall apart. I think it's just because I was holding onto it so tightly that it wasn't allowed to, but that's whatever. Getting in real quick on the details, you do have the red across the reinforced windshield and the netted back window and front window. There are, of course, the thrusters, the gold one that becomes his hook, and then the non-gold one, which is just useless. Going all the way around there, you'd have the green striping like Lockdown does in most continuities, or at least in Transformers Animated. Silver cowcatcher on the front with the red headlights. Hubcaps are picked out in silver, as well as these annoying ass detachable. I just dropped that behind my desk. That's hilarious. They're just there to piss me off, and I find that hilarious. But to bring in some other figures, here is Lockdown compared to our previous Transformers Studio Series 86 review. Steeljaw, who's a cassette. And then, of course, we cannot forget the shit-ass parts forming piece that he comes with. And here he is with a little Lego minifigure, such as the Batman. And here he is with Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. And I think that that looks pretty good, of course, except for the cassette, which is way overscaled, but that's a different topic. This definitely looks in scale with the Lego minifigure and also with 86 Prime. So overall, great scaling. It's just, oh man, this thing has drawn my ire way too often. But let's save my complaints for the final thoughts. Let's get on to those now. Freeze frame.
What happens when you drink the potion?
After you drink it, you turn into Ligma.
What's Ligma?
All for nothing at all.
Freeze frame on freeze. If it wasn't already apparent, I fucking hate this thing. It's not even close. I can't describe my ire. I wanted this thing so badly when I heard that it was announced. And I, of course, never owned the scrap Pokemold, so I didn't know the problems that plagued it. And when I got this thing, hoping to at least capture some sort of rekindling of my childhood wanting the original Transformers animated Lockdown figure, this thing was like a piece of shit served to me on a silver platter. Seldom does a figure come out in the Transformers Legacy line that makes me wish that I had the original figure. And then when I look for that original figure, yeah, no. The paint is the only saving grace of this figure, but even then the paint doesn't even cover all, and I do say the all, meaning the fucking parts forming pieces, of what it should. The sculpting on this thing is atrocious. The head sculpt is bad. Yes, there is DLC coming out for it on the Chinese markets, but if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a fucking pig. And this thing sucks ass. The articulation is decent, but the figure falls apart at every fucking step. And I'm not trying to rebuild this thing every time when I'm trying to transform it, or pose it, or display it. The weapons suck ass. There's no reason why his engine... The grill is so disappointing. The fucking hook is a parts forming piece. It was really that hard. They couldn't just give him his hook instead of the hand. I mean, God, it's so aggravating. It's a miracle that when I was transforming this thing, it didn't fall apart as often as it did when I was first handling this figure out of the box. I'm so glad that I was never able to actually find this thing on shelves because I was spared from so many people having to deal with this thing. It fucking sucks, bro. This thing's awful. Do not buy this. If you really, really want a Lockdown figure, buy the animated version or buy the Hunt for the Decepticons figure, which I'm going to be doing as soon as I possibly can. This thing, it's not worth $24. It's not worth $12. If it was half off, it wouldn't be worth it. Shit, I wouldn't even take it if it was offered to me free, knowing what I know about it now. This thing is by far the worst figure that I've reviewed on this channel, and I will stand by that statement until the day I die. But if for whatever reason my nerd rage hasn't convinced you already and you like Lockdown, or you like the Star Sabers, the fucking space, whatever the hell they're called, I don't care anymore, or you like the Decepticons, you like Transformers in general, make sure you share this video with your friends, share it with the basic groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Keeps helping the channel grow, keeps helping me pump out this content. That's going to be pretty much for this time, friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.